Welcome to the ZeroFunction Podcast. I'm Conall, who's tired, and I'm your host today. I'm joined by my co-host, Jen and
Hello.
Lee.
Hey everyone.
And today,
Wow, you've got
oh
way
my
too
God,
much energy.
today
Yeah, we do.
I'm struggling to get comfy. Today,
Today there's a weird vibe
It's
in the
7
studio.
PM.
It is 7 p.m. We just wrapped up a 3-hour D&D session.
What do you mean 3 hours? Oh, yeah, no, we did.
Roughly.
We finished at 6.
Yeah.
And today we are talking about.
Oh, yeah, we don't. Do you know?
I don't know, but my throat hurts. I've been talking for 3 hours straight.
Yay.
The Crusades.
Hell yeah!
Deus Vult.
Deus Volt!
The Crusades?
Bro. Do you know about the Crusades? Okay.
Saladin,
The
gentleman, scholar.
Not gonna lie, for a second I thought you said the Crusaders.
Okay.
And I was like.
I mean,
we're
yes,
not...
also Crusaders,
No,
but not the rugby Crusaders.
Yeah, that's
no.
what I thought. I was just like, we're not talking.
No,
about...
this is
Oh
this
my
is
God, I
not
would
this is
never
not
talk
a
about
sports
rugby. I
zone.
never talk
This
about
isn't
sport.
this is a zero sports zone. Come on.
So, right. There's a lot of information on the Crusades, like lots. So I really had to summarize, and we're gonna go through
I have hand cramp.
8, technically 9, but mostly 8 Crusades. The 8 official Crusades, and there was a 9th that was kind of the 8th, and the 5th and 6th were kind of the same as well, but it's fine.
I will be able to weigh in pretty heavily on the Third Crusade and nothing else.
Okay, cool.
That's my knowledge of the Crusades. I know a bunch about the Third Crusade, and that's it.
Yeah, the 3rd Crusade notes were a lot smaller than the other ones, because, you know...
Oh,
I'm
cool.
wearing a high neck thing.
Yeah,
It's making me look very
you can
chunky, and
expand.
I'm not happy about it.
So, the
Yeah, give us
the Crusaders,
Dude, that.
the Crusaders, pretty cool. The things they did, not so cool.
As a cultural phenomenon, the Crusades inspire a kind of
Deus
What is
Vult.
the Crusade?
yeah, I think we can sum it up with
music,
Deus Vult.
A lot of metal. It's just
Yeah.
bro, just
Yeah, like-
medieval fighting and whatnot.
Just the musical impact alone
Description.
of this historical
The
period.
Crusades is.
Okay, so the Crusades was late 1100s, early to mid 1200s, and somewhat late 1200s, and it was pretty much the Christianity, the Holy Roman Empire for a lot of it, and just Christianity in general, and the Pope were like, yo, the Muslims in Jerusalem and Israel and that area, just the Middle East, you're like, not on. Not on.
Oh.
Yeah, we're talking like a period of like the 9th through 13th century kind of thing.
So the Crusades is a group of people.
The Crusaders was a widely used term for the many groups that went on a crusade, because the people who went on a crusade were from a bunch of different factions. And I mean, there are the specific groups like the Knights Templar, which are like a really well-known name. And
The Teutons.
something about the Holy Sepulchre, which is a pretty cool name. I must admit. I know
Knights
what
of the
full
Holy
title
Sepulchre.
is.
Yeah. Yeah. So, because you have a kind of glazed over look in your eyes.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I'm just kinda like,
you know
once
how
you start talking about it, I'll probably click on because something's kind of triggering, but like I'm still kind of like.
Yeah. So, just a very basic break. This is very. You guys are ridiculous. This is a very.
You were like pretending to snort, and I was like, rude. This is
I'm
your
so
topic.
uncomfortable.
Okay, so this is a very reductivist breakdown of it, but
Yeah.
you know how Jesus was Jewish and lived in the Middle East?
I'm sorry. Quick pause. Go get another pillow. Literally, just go next door and get another pillow.
I got lumbar support this time. You know, that's a bit
Jesus.
better. I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good.
So, yes,
Somewhat.
you know how Jesus was Jewish and lived in the
Yes.
Middle East?
Yes.
Okay, right. Middle East, predominantly Jewish and Muslim
Yes.
demographics, okay? The Bible, Christian, European kind of thing,
Mhm.
okay? Christians believe that Jerusalem and the Holy Land belongs to them. Muslims and Jews in the Holy Land disagree with that.
Yeah.
Christians come over and try to take the Holy Land anyway.
So it's all about the
Right.
Holy Land and mostly Jerusalem.
And apparently they try 9 different times. I was only aware of 3 of them.
Right. Try is a
Well.
strong word.
Well,
So, the First Crusade, 1096 to 1099, was the first of a series of religious wars or crusades initiated, supported, and at times directed by the Latin Church in the medieval period. The
I
objective...
feel like if you do fail after the 3rd time, you should just stop.
yeah, and just for a historical context, the medieval period is generally considered to be between 1000 and 1500 AD.
I did
or
not know
CE.
that, but sure.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is when the
Really?
Middle Ages
Okay.
is, well, the medieval period is considered to be. Yes.
Right. So the objective was the recovery of the Holy Land, which was classified sort of Jerusalem/Palestine from Islamic rule. The First Crusade was started as a retaliation to Muslim spread and an attempt to mainly recover Jerusalem, as it held religious significance to Christians and Muslims.
Which anyone familiar with any kind of Christian dogma will understand.
Yeah.
Bro, still,
Yes.
still today, Jerusalem is not a good place.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Yeah, just like there's at least
Three different religions
Yeah.
fighting each other, pretty much.
Yeah, basically, and they all believe that, this is the most holy. Well, okay, for Muslims it's like the 3rd most holy site,
Yeah.
but they all believe that this is a site of significant importance in their religion, in their religious texts. So they all like stake a claim on it.
Yeah.
And there is a
Then why
very
don't they just divide it equally?
Religion, my dude.
yeah.
You know,
Oh, yeah, a lot of the questions that you are going to have can be summed up with religion.
Yeah.
Yeah, like even today in Jerusalem, mostly there is a very tenuous peace agreement between different factions. In other parts of the Holy Land, as we will refer to it, not so much.
Yeah.
Gaza, but
Yikes.
yeah,
Well, like, we're
amongst
kinda
other
gonna
places.
make
Gaza, Palestine,
I mean, like
kind of thing.
we could do a whole episode on the current like Middle Eastern conflict
Let's not.
and how it got to it, but this is not that kind of podcast.
Nope.
So moving
So,
on.
the First Crusade began through the Byzantine Empire, which is quite large.
Sorry, quick pause. Could you imagine if we actually talked about like actual world issues
Oh, God.
right now?
Okay.
Oh God, no.
Yeah. So it began through the Byzantine Empire, requesting military aid at the time against the Seljuk, I'm going to assume that's how it's said, Turks, the Turco-Persian Muslims. The Christian Pope Urban II, which is an interesting name, responded to the request and used it as an opportunity to invade the Holy Land.
There's some
Pretty much.
really interesting
He
Pope
was like,
names.
Yo, we going for the Byzantine, and the Byzantine was pretty much.
It was
like Turkey and sort of Greece. It was quite large, and
It was-
kind
it was-
of expanded.
It was
a
like
little
that
down.
Eastern Mediterranean kind of area.
Yeah.
And it was the precursor to the Ottoman Empire.
Yes, so
Ah.
very large.
Fun fact, the entire span of history from, oh boy, what was it? Jesus to World War II, or no, from Jesus to World War One.
Yeah.
That entire span of history was covered by 2 empires, the Roman Empire and the Ottoman Empire.
Oh.
Yeah,
It's pretty neat.
that's nuts, right?
Yeah. Okay.
That's like 2,000 years of history.
Yeah, because the Byzantine
insane.
became
Bruh.
the Ottoman, so technically it's one in a weird, but yeah.
Yeah,
It's
the
weird.
yeah
Are
the
we
the-
in an empire right now, or is
What?
it just?
no.
No.
I don't believe there are any
We're a
active
common-
empires currently.
No.
Yeah.
No.
The last one would have been the British.
The
Or
British
Spanish? No.
oh boy, I mean the Russians held in there for a while.
That's true.
How do you know you're in an empire? Does someone just declare like it's the start of an
I
empire?
mean,
has to
yeah.
have like a regent or like a family, like a royal family, like an
Oh.
emperor, empress, and it has to hold control over like countrywide land, pretty much. It has to have many different realms underneath it. So generally, I think it goes. You've got like the different areas. You've got like counties, you've got duchies, then you've got kingdoms, and then you've got empires that have kingdoms in them.
Oh, okay.
Generally, that's a very basic way. There's a lot more technicalities, but
Yeah.
if you imagine it that way,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, we're going to leave it at that because politics is complicated.
Politics, woo!
But I was going to say Japan. Japan still has an emperor, so they
Yeah.
technically have an empire in the same way that the United Kingdom still technically has a monarchy.
Yeah.
But they have no control.
They're really a figurehead of
Yeah.
state.
Symbolic.
Yes,
Yeah, that's the
exactly.
thing. Like, what do they actually have
Um,
charge over?
well, let's talk about the Queen of England. She actually has quite a bit of power. She has the power to declare war. She has
That
like
was a
does.
strong one to start on.
God.
yeah, she does. She is technically the commander-in-chief of the military forces of the Commonwealth and
Bruh.
all Commonwealth countries.
Oh my god, they
So if
include
they're-
us.
Yeah,
They
well,
have a president, right? Or is it a prime minister?
the
Minister.
UK has a prime minister. Yes.
So if their prime minister was like, I declare war, and the Queen doesn't agree with it, can she just be like, no?
It's generally a formality that all like pretty much all political decisions in the UK that Parliament makes, the Queen has absolute veto power over, but she very, very rarely steps in.
Yeah.
If she really disagrees with something, she will issue a strongly worded statement.
Strongly worded email.
Well, no, like a public statement.
Yeah.
You know, against it. But other than that, I don't think Elizabeth II has ever actually exercised her veto power.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair.
That's
Yeah.
mad that she's like, what, 92 now? 94?
Uh,
Something like
the
that.
early to mid 90s. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's nuts. I love her. I love the Queen.
Mm.
But she does still have a weekly meeting with the Prime Minister to like cover everything. She must be like one of the most knowledgeable people in the world.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. She must
I would love to have a conversation with the Queen.
Zero
Yeah.
Function
She'd be like,
Podcast
get the
talks
fuck
to the
out,
Queen.
why are you in here?
Yeah, she'd be like, who are you?
Yeah. So Ottoman Empire, Turkish,
Byzantine.
Sorry,
Byzantine, not Ottoman.
kind of
yeah.
Turkish Greek area
Yep.
plus the Roman Empire.
Yep.
Want to go to the Holy Land.
Yeah, so
Cool.
they wanted military aid from the Crusaders or the Pope, really, because he had a lot of power. So the first advance during the First Crusade was known as the People's Crusade, as many people from different social classes responded to the Pope's call to war, because, you know, religion.
Yeah.
They were led...
Wait, when the Queen dies, what happens to the Queen birthday holiday?
it would change...
Does
Good
it become
question. Probably
King's birthday?
probably becomes King's birthday. I could be wrong.
That's a
But
weird vibe.
Yeah.
I would imagine that because it is a different date to the Queen's actual birthday,
Yeah.
that it's like just a placement public holiday, you know,
It's possible.
and
So
they
it
would just change
becomes
the name.
King's birthday.
I assume
weekend?
so. Well, it's the same, you know, when the Queen dies, you know, the proclamation will go out. The Queen
Will
is dead.
all
Long
the
live the King.
coins get changed to have a king head on it?
Yes. When the Queen dies, all Commonwealth currency. Well,
Becomes vetoed? Or just...
I'm going to go ahead and say that all Commonwealth currency, you know, carries the Queen's portrait. At least the coins do. Yeah, I would assume that it all gets recalled and reissued with new currency with what's his name,
it
Charles
can-
Head on it.
It'll probably get
Yeah, can you
introduced
can
slowly.
you imagine Charles head on the side of a No.
Yeah, I mean honestly, I prefer they just skip straight over and go to William. But
Yeah.
you know,
Sorry, yeah, continue.
we'll
with
we'll
it,
only have to deal with them for like what 15, 20 years maybe,
yeah.
Not too bad.
which is still a long time, but nothing compared to
Yeah. Seems like a bit of
Elizabeth.
a waste of time to recall all of the coins, do that, and then he dies, and then it's like, ah.
yeah.
Bit annoying. Anyway, so the People's Crusade was led by a French priest known as Peter the Hermit. However,
So it's a little less imposing than Richard the Lionheart, you know.
you shall see, because however they were annihilated by an ambush just after they left Byzantine territory. So they went south out of Turkey, pretty much.
Yeah.
Or
So
round about
down
there.
down through like where Kurdish Iraq is today.
Yep.
It
Yeah,
might be Iraq
toward-
or Iraq.
towards,
I
like,
don't know my Middle Eastern
Israel's-
geography.
Towards Israel.
And
yeah.
shortly after
But around-
they left, they were just
Like
ambushed.
they just left the territory and
Yeah,
bam.
so like they went
Got
down through
ambushed.
that Kurdish territory in the northwestern part of
Yeah.
So
Holy
now I
Land,
see
yeah.
what you mean by like attempts. Like they were hardly attempts.
Yep. So
Well, this one wasn't.
next one, the next advance was.
Oh, that's
led-
just it. They just all died.
they all fucking. They got
Do we
wiped out,
do we have like a ballpark number on how many people there were?
Not that, but I do on the next stuff. I missed out some of the figures for some of the Crusades. I did like the first 3, and then I came to my second session of researching, and I just had to fucking go.
Yeah.
Anyway, the next advance
I did the first 3. And this is the numbers for the first
was
one.
led by Christian high nobility, so they actually decided to show up and do their job.
Can I interject?
Yeah.
The current historical estimate of the size of the First Crusade is between 70 to 80,000 troops. Yeah.
But
which is not
I
massive,
think that
really.
includes,
It's not massive, but can you imagine like?
I mean, back
concerts?
then that is massive.
I
Yeah,
think that includes
Like,
the.
can you imagine going to a
nobility's forces.
concert?
probably.
Can you imagine going to a concert like Spark Arena? That's what 25,000 people. I think that stadium fits 20,
Possibly.
25,000.
I don't think I've ever been there.
Oh, actually.
What stadium have you been to?
Okay, the Cake Tin in Wellington, the sports stadium.
The Circle Boy.
That holds. I think that holds 25.
Let's have a look, because I know how big that
It's
is.
a lot of people.
Yeah.
okay.
So imagine
Sky
3
Stadium
of
in Wellington.
those.
Capacity is who did it do? 34,500 people in the
Okay.
seats.
Imagine 2 of
Okay.
those stadiums just
Yeah.
getting wiped out.
I mean, that's a
That's
lot of people. Can you imagine the supply train they would need to supply that force marching for that
Sometimes they
long?
didn't.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Oh, they were like,
Like, that's,
yeah.
like the logistical challenges.
I mean,
That
think
is
about it. It was
nuts.
a People's
Yeah.
Crusade. I doubt they had good logistics.
How did
Hell
they
yeah.
even rally up 70,000 people to be like,
Religious.
let's go?
Yeah, religious propaganda, really.
Yeah.
Like,
But,
the,
like,
the
could
call,
you-
like the call went out. You know,
And they probably would have
seeking.
just marched through towns on the way to the Byzantine.
Bro, we could
Yeah.
even get that many people to storm Area 51.
Seeking able-bodied men to go seize the Holy Land from the Muslim
Our generation
hordes
runs
kind of thing.
on coffee and memes, and 2 million people said yes to that Facebook event. What did we say? Like 1,000 people showed up?
Less than that, I think.
It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
300, I think. it
And
was.
there was
Oh,
only
there you go.
and there was only like 50 who actually went
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
the gate. Yeah.
Yeah, could you see? That's why we could not have another world war, because our generation would just be like, no.
Yeah.
You
I'm
would
pretty
hope
sure
so.
more people
Yeah.
showed up to the Kyle fight. So that was great.
Did that actually happen?
Yeah, a child one. Because they were nice. to
Oh
them.
yes, I remember hearing
Yeah.
about that.
What?
It was like,
So-
I think like hundreds of people showed up in this random field in some random state in America.
Yeah.
And there were cars everywhere, and they just had this ring with like I think 50 cars fought it out in the middle. But like obviously there was a child, and I think they used like pool noodles or something, or like.
Oh.
was
Did you
gas.
hear about the Josh fight?
Wait, was it?
No.
Wait, am I
Um,
on the wrong? No, it was Josh. Wait, what did I say?
Kyle.
The Kyle fight. I'm
no,
sure
no,
the
no,
Kyle
no, it
fight
was the
happened.
Josh fight, not the Kyle fight. No, 'cause the Kyle was the Area 51
there's
thing.
not-
Yeah,
there's
I'm
nothing
getting
for
caught
Kyle
on
fight.
things. It was the Josh fight, sorry, not the Kyle fight.
Yeah.
There was no Kyle fight. The Kyle fight was them rushing Area 51.
When you say Kyle, the less it sounds like a name.
Kyle.
You're like, Carl,
Carl.
Carl.
Anyway,
Hang on, let me just read this. So, it was back in April of 2020, and almost 1,000 people showed up, and there were at least 50 of them actually named Josh.
Wait, you're saying 1,000 people showed up and only 50 of them were named
At
Josh?
least 50.
Yeah,
So,
but still, out of 1,000. Like,
but
probably not all
but-
the Joshes participated.
but there were 3 fights. There was one game of rock paper scissors for those named Josh Swain, of which there were 2 at the event.
Okay.
Um,
see, I could do that because there is someone else named Genevieve Mahachi. Which is so mad because
that is
like,
insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you-
Hungarian last
ugh,
name.
Yeah,
Pretty abnormal first name.
little
Yeah,
bit.
she
Yeah.
messaged me on Instagram and was like, "Yo, holy shit, it's her name," and I was like, "This is a scam." And she was like, "No, I'm
No,
real."
you should meet up.
She lives in Adelaide. Like she's actually pretty
That's
close.
awesome. Look, you should absolutely meet up and film it.
She
That's
kinda looks
amazing.
like me too. Well, not like facial structure, but like brown hair, blue
Yeah.
eyes, like pretty pale,
Pretty,
like these
pretty
sort of thing.
similar to
That's amazing. We should set
Yeah.
that up. But yeah, it was.
Me and the gender.
Let's do it.
Oh, man.
There was a second fight with pool noodles for all attendees named Josh, and there was a third one for basically anyone who brought a pool noodle to the fight. Yeah, there were only 2 people named Josh Swain, which is why they had the rock paper scissors
Yeah.
contest.
I see.
And it was a local 4-year-old boy named Josh Vincent Jr. He
Aw.
was dubbed Little Josh.
Little Josh.
Yep, and he started having seizures when he was 2 years old, and he'd been
Oh.
treated at a children's hospital, and he was declared the overall winner.
I
He
thought you meant
was-
he started having seizures at the fight. And I
No, no,
was
no, no, no,
like,
no, 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 no. So he's been in and out of children's hospitals for the last 2 years.
Aw.
He was dubbed the overall winner, and he was crowned with a paper crown from Burger King and a replica AEW World Championship belt.
Aw.
and his dad said afterwards that the kid had the time of his life. So, yeah,
Could you imagine, like, when he gets older and things like that, and just be like, I am the superior Josh.
Yeah.
in this
I'm
town.
the
And
one Josh.
this is great. Okay, so the initial goal was to raise $1,000 for the Children's Hospital and Medical Centre, in wherever this place was, and they raised over $14,000.
Nice.
They collected over 90 kilograms of food for the nearby food bank. That's like 200 pounds of food. And the next month, a Californian winery called Josh Cellars decided to triple the donation by donating $30,000 to the funds.
God.
Damn.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
I love it.
All that from a text message.
Heck yeah.
Just to be
Some
like,
guy
"The
to
Josh."
like 12
No, it
other
was-
Joshes
Yeah.
like,
There
we
were-
must fight here.
Well, it
These
began.
coordinates.
It began because, like there were several Facebook Messenger users named Josh Swain, and they were all sent messages about this. Like, it just had the date, the time, and coordinates.
Mm.
Whoever and it said whoever wins gets to keep the name. Everyone else has to change their name. You have a year to prepare. Good luck. That's
It's
nuts.
So great.
I love it. I love stuff like this. It's so
dumb.
good.
It's so great. It's so it
Right.
turned out wholesome.
Mm.
Yeah, it did. So, Second Crusade.
So, well, first, still, just the second advance.
Right.
So, the next advance was led by Christian high nobility,
This is still the First Crusade,
yep,
yes?
which
Okay.
came to be known as the Prince's Crusade, and the force was said to have as many as 100,000 troops, with as many as 42,000 being Crusaders. So, like, I guess you'd have to be, like, fully Christian or, like, part of the church, I'm
Yeah.
assuming.
Yeah.
Can you imagine
or
losing-
nobility, at least, I'm assuming. But anyway, Jerusalem was reached by the Crusaders in 1099 and took a little over a month to siege. And when the Crusaders made it in, the defenders were massacred. The Kingdom of Jerusalem was then established and ruled by Godfrey of Bouillon, a Frankish
Bouillon, yeah.
nobleman. So they actually took Jerusalem in the First Crusade.
Hell yeah.
The second attempt with
Let's-
what?
let's-
Like,
let-
did you
let's-
say 14,000 people?
Something like that, yeah.
What?
Wasn't it?
42,000.
Oh,
no,
42,000.
100,000. 42,000 of those 100,000 were like full-on Crusaders.
Oh.
So I think
So the rest were like peasant conscripts or something.
yeah, or maybe like
Or volunteers.
contingency forces from different,
Okay, yeah.
factions.
I'm going
but
to try not to eat into the mic.
Yeah.
I have chili and lime corn snacks.
Very cool.
Mum
You alright?
loves those.
I'm good. So anyway,
There's also honey mustard there. I came prepared.
the Second
Okay.
Crusade.
Can
11.
I just
Wait.
put a addendum in there?
Yes.
When they refer to people as being Frankish, Francia was the precursor to France. Good job.
You were disgusting.
I just the mic halfway through.
So when they say Frankish, it's like ancient French.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, like, okay, if they took Jerusalem, why are they doing another crusade? Well.
Yeah.
The Second Crusade.
Religion.
1147 to 1150. So quite a bit after.
I thought you meant the time, and I was like, how was that recorded?
Was the second major crusade launched from Europe. The Second Crusade was started in response to the fall of the county of Edessa in 1144 to the forces of Zengi. I'm going to assume that's how it's said. The county had been founded during the First Crusade, 1096-1099, by King Baldwin I of Jerusalem in 1098. He was the brother of Godfrey, who was the first ruler of Jerusalem, which I said just before. So pretty much they just marched in to the established county in the Kingdom of Jerusalem.
Yeah.
So the kingdom has like counties and duchies.
So
and
the same
whatever.
people that took Jerusalem then marched into Jerusalem?
Well, they were in Jerusalem already, but like because it was
They-
quite separate, they didn't have much control.
So
they,
that
they,
they-
held Jerusalem and they established counties, but like there was so many like enemy forces around, they didn't have much control. So
Right.
these
So
forces
they were
able
kind
to
of-
march in.
So they kind of, like, took over, but they didn't, like, wean out the people who didn't want them to take over.
Not really, because like all the forces were across the Mediterranean, pretty much.
Right.
Because obviously it was like Italy and like not really Greece, like Hungary and France and like quite a bit away.
Yeah.
So the Second Crusade was announced by Pope Eugene III and was the first of the
Eugene?
Crusades to be led by European kings.
That is the
namely-
worst Pope name.
What, Eugene?
Oh,
Eugene.
It is not.
Why?
namely Louis VII of France and Conrad III of Germany, with help from a number of other European nobles.
I mean, I'm just going to say, I've heard a lot of the Pope names, and Eugene is pretty bad.
It's bad in terms of it just doesn't sound great, but there are ones that are worse in terms of context of the Crusades.
Like, innocent?
Yes! As you'll find eventually in Pope Honoris. Yeah.
I've not heard that one, actually.
Fuck's sakes. So anyway, both kings' armies, of course, were defeated by the Seljuk Turks again when they entered Anatolia, which is kind of like the bottom of Turkey, where those peasants got wiped out as well.
Yeah. Bordering on the
and
Kurdish
there was
territories.
suspected collusion from the Byzantine Emperor at the time with the Turks. The remnants of the armies reached Jerusalem in 1148 and attacked Damascus, the modern-day capital of Syria.
Go and get that good steel.
In the fourth holiest city in Islam. This resulted in failure, of course, and became a great victory for the Muslims. So pretty much the Muslims gained a foothold in the Holy Land, pretty much, because they took that county, and they were like, no.
Nice.
So pretty much, they were trying to... The Second Crusade was pretty much them trying to push the Muslims out of the Holy Land. So they held Jerusalem at that time.
Right. So first Crusade, they actually got in eventually.
And they took Jerusalem.
Second Crusade, they're like re-establishing their foothold and strengthening their position.
But it didn't work.
Okay.
We tried.
So, did they get fully pushed out of Jerusalem, or?
No. I believe they still held it. It's really confusing sometimes when I was trying to figure shit out, because it's obviously...
They still
it's
held,
quite a
but
while
like
ago.
barely. They're like, I am your leader.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Here it is. Okay.
Oh yes, because
Was it your wrist?
Jerusalem was still partly Christian by the time of the Third Crusade, wasn't it?
Partly.
Yes, it was. So,
It's like when people are like, are you religious? And you're kind of like, wow.
the Third Crusade,
I mean, we all know.
1189
about me.
to 1192, was an attempt by three European monarchs of Western Christianity: Philip II of France, Richard I of England, and Frederick I, Holy Roman Emperor, to reconquer the Holy Land following the capture of Jerusalem by the Ayyubid Sultan Saladin in 1180.
Saladin!
Saladin is a really famous sultan. Like, he did a lot of things.
Praise be to Saladin!
The one.
The ambient dialogue from the first Assassin's Creed game lives rent-free in my head.
Oh, okay. I was like, alright, I was just going to sit here, nod, smile, like, okay, cool, yeah.
I just know Saladin from
We talk a lot about
Civilization.
Assassin's Creed.
A little bit. Assassin's Creed is great. And that first game, man, when you're just wandering around and you're hearing like the preachers and the like guards harassing people and all that, it's like I love all that.
You don't do anything about it, but you're like, yes.
I know. I always remember the fight trainer, that Masyaf. Altair, it seems my students do not fully understand what it is to wield the blade. Perhaps you could show them what you know.
I do not remember this.
And then,
It's been so long.
and then when you execute perfect attacks, you have to do it 3 times to learn the move. And he says, "Perfect, the work of a master." And that, my students, is how we all should fight.
Fuck's sakes.
I love
Why
that
do you-
game
why
why
much
do you have these things just carved into your subconscious?
because it was such a big part of my
Wait.
childhood. That game.
Bro, speaking
Oh my
of
God.
carved into my subconscious, I don't know what we were talking about, I can't remember now, but like yesterday, I just had this like overwhelming thing, and it's a quote, and it says, "I'm talking like a human," and my brain was like, "Where is that from?" And I was just like, "It's not Emperor's New Groove because he's a llama. He was a human." And I like,
Boom, baby.
yeah, and I was like, 'cause it's that same type of like dramatic speech, and I was like, "Where is that from?" It's from the movie Scarecrow, which was made in 2000.
What?
I have it on VCR,
I've
and it's
never heard
a
of it.
rat that has been brought to life by a magical witch. This
Okay.
girl, she has a jar of money. She's like a peasant girl, and she buries it at the foot of the scarecrow. And she says something like, "I wish you were real," or whatever. And so this witch gives life to the scarecrow and a broomstick and a rat. And the rat's like, "I'm walking like a human. I'm talking like a human." But
All right.
dude,
Okay.
just that line, I'm talking like a human,
Just stuck
was
there.
just, it was just in my head, and it took me like 2 days to figure out where it was from. I was like, where is it from? Where is it from? Where is it from?
I know, you
Even
remember that
my
too.
mum was like, bro, I don't know. You're crazy. But I finally figured it out, and I haven't seen that movie in years. I don't think many people have seen it.
I don't think I have.
Oh my god.
It's quite a good movie, but like, it's a musical as well. But
things on VHS.
yeah,
We had CD
bro, we have
most of the time.
so many VHS. It's because you were born in 2001, you child.
Yep.
Child.
Just yep. Just yep.
Curse him! Curse the Christian king and his army of infidels!
Cease your words. So,
So good.
for this reason,
Are you in pain?
somewhat, my back kind of
He's just thinking about the.
Go get another pillow.
It's fine. It's just I've been sitting weirdly all day.
He's thinking about the
Bro,
wonderful.
I haven't stopped.
He's thinking about
I had work
the
today.
the. Nice. He's thinking about the wonderful friendmity between Richard and Saladin. It's amazing.
Okay.
I'm lost.
They're-
First of England.
Yes, Richard the Lionheart. They are both such gentlemen to each other.
Gentlemen.
Like,
It's
it's
butter scratch.
no, just like in the way that they conduct themselves and like correspond with each other. Like there's one instance where I think Richard becomes sick, so Saladin sends him like a bunch of fruit baskets and his court physician.
Of course.
Yeah. Like he sends his most trusted doctor to heal his like enemy commander.
Why not?
Yeah, well, because they respected each other, and they always like when they met on the battlefield, they would always meet like before the battle to try and hash out an agreement that would result in the least bloodshed.
Oh.
Didn't always work, but they tried, and they were
To
always
be fair, that happens in My Hero. They go to fight the enemy, and then the enemy was like, that kid, no, that man.
That's just
Worth a
anime.
fight. Yeah, I know. No, but they
anime.
take them to the back room and like heal them before fighting again. When he could have just
Oh.
killed him
In
with Fat Gum. and
oh yeah.
Hiroshima.
Yeah, you have no idea what's going
Yeah.
no.
on.
I
Anyway,
was gonna say like
Well,
like,
you know what? That's how I felt for
Anyway,
that whole conversation.
like just one more thing about Saladin. I can't say his name for some reason. Salahadin.
Salad, man.
He like his reputation as an honorable man was so great that even contemporary Christian sources, like at that time, described him as being an honorable man, like an honorable enemy.
I'm not gonna lie. I thought we were still talking about Assassin's Creed.
Well, I mean, he's mentioned in Assassin's Creed, but no, but real life, Dante Alighieri, when he wrote, I think it was it Inferno? Yeah, one of his books, where he like goes to hell and travels through the 9 circles.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
at
Dante's
the
Inferno?
time, hey,
Dante's Inferno.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, Inferno by Dante Alighieri. He like at the time, the belief was that like any non-Christian would just go straight to hell, and there was a
My grandparents said that to my mum.
that is nuts.
A week after they got married, they were like, "So when are you going to convert?" And she was like,
But yeah, I think Dante wrote the Inferno a couple hundred years after the Third Crusade. But the common belief at the time was that there was one of the 9 circles of hell was reserved for non-Christians, and that they would all go to hell. Like Saladin's,
"I hope I go to that
mark.
9th one because 9 might be numbered."
But Saladin's mark on the Western world or the Christian world at least, was so great that Dante portrayed him as being in limbo rather than like in hell proper.
Oh.
Like and that's
Pretty
that's
hefty.
massive. Like
Yeah.
like for the cultural context at the time
And
to
an opposing religion as well.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
My goodness.
Like that's the impact that he had
Mother.
on Westerners, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so please continue.
So,
Back to the Crusade.
Yes. Well, that was related.
This is the thing. When we like tell stories, we always like instead of being like A, B, we're like A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
Yeah.
So obviously the three fellas, the 2 kings and the
Yes.
Them
and the
guys.
emperor. That's why the
Emperor.
Third Crusade came to be known as the King's Crusade. Most
Wait, I know this one.
The Third Crusade.
Well, King's Crusade. I've heard that before.
It's
Correct.
definitely the most well known of the Crusades.
Yeah.
So most notably, the German Emperor Frederick Barbarossa did not even make it to the Holy Land.
Not related to the Jewish pirate of the same name.
Why would I know that?
Barbarossa. No?
As,
Okay, never mind.
That's what I'm saying. You've got
Sorry,
such a well
continue.
of random knowledge, and I'm like,
Yeah, I do.
Bro, I was
There's
about
no
to drop
context.
a bombshell and you
German Emperor Frederick Barbarossa.
did not even make it to the Holy Land as he drowned in a river on the way.
Yes, that's right. He did.
Yup. Did he make it?
Because he was in full armor and he fell off his horse.
Yeah. He drowned in the river.
wait, so did he not have like all his troops with him?
Oh yeah, but no one could pull him out because they were all in armor as well.
Surely someone could strip.
Not fast enough, apparently.
Nah.
Yeah, I was like, wait, how do you put on armor? I don't know how you put on a full
You
suit
get
of
somebody
armor.
to help you.
Yeah, so I was like, how do you take off a full suit of armor? Or surely just send one of the horses in so he could like grab onto it or something. Like, so they were just like, that's our leader, let's go.
I think they tried to rescue him, but he was too heavy and they couldn't pull him out.
So he died, and the majority of his troops...
Your hubris.
So
Wait,
they
Your
lost, They
arrogance.
lost the majority of the German troops, but they were
Oh
still
my God.
obviously the other two kings.
Wait,
troops
so if
going.
they just go home, surely everyone's like, dishonor on you because you didn't fight for
Dishonor
us
on your
all."
cow. I mean, they kind of like they lost their figurehead, their leader. It's like,
Yeah, what else? Are
well,
they gonna do?
what's
What now?
what's the point?
Foreign leader?
Yeah, this is the guy we were
True.
following, and he's dead. We might as well go home to our farms, do something practical.
Yeah.
So their wives and children are like, "You're back," and he's like, "Yeah, we can go."
The emperor died,
Yeah, bro. He
so we just
fell in the
left.
fell off his horse, Fuck's sake. I thought that
Nothing-
was just brilliant.
Nothing.
Yeah, I
Nothing.
should have added that in the Dumb Ways to Die episode.
Oh,
That would have been amazing.
Yeah.
They're just like, nothing can be done. An attempt was
To be
made.
fair, yeah. Could you imagine? Like, how
I
many,
t-
how
I
many
tried.
troops
I tried, and therefore no one should criticize me.
were there? How many troops were there?
well,
Because this one was massive, eh?
it was around about the same size of the
Second one.
first, sort of.
Really?
It was almost 100,000. I mean,
Could you imagine yelling to
it's
the
not
back of the
accurate.
pack, being like, "Yo,
well, they'd have
turn
missed,
around."
they'd have missed
Oh my
yours.
gosh.
So they didn't really have an accurate number, but it's
But still-
36 to 74,000, so still a lot.
could you imagine the people right at the back of the pack?
Mm.
Because like it doesn't matter how close together you are, that's still going to be a massive like thing. Can
Mm.
you imagine? Like the people at the front has watched them die, and they're like, "Yo, can you relay a message to the back of the pack?"
Well,
Whoa.
what they would do, interestingly enough, they would use horns.
how do you horn?
They would use horns to signal, like trumpets. Like not the trumpet as we know it today, but that is how they would direct armies on the battlefield.
How do you trumpet the Emperor's fucking death?
Well, they.
Stand back.
I mean,
Yo, we gotta
mean,
go.
well,
the
no, what?
Emperor's dead. You can probably do because like the Emperor could die in battle. But how do you do? Like you're in the middle of like getting there, and you just hear the Emperor's dead on trumpet, and you're like, "What the fuck?"
I would imagine they would signal the company commanders or whatever to
a
a
lot
meeting.
Of the time, the majority of the force wouldn't get notified of like a leader's death to prevent morale drop. But obviously, they didn't need. They'd be during a battle usually, so they're probably
Yeah.
just like, "Yep." So
Yeah, they would call
We going.
the senior officers, the company commanders,
Like,
to
what
a
do we
meeting where they
do?
would explain the situation and then like leave it up to them to disseminate the information to their
I
troops.
can just imagine like one of the leaders getting called to the front, and he's like, "Why have you called me? Oh,
oh,
is that?"
Right, fair enough.
What do you do? Like, because obviously, like, it's really funny when you're thinking about history. Like, you think of them being all like, like
Different.
yeah, but like they do still talk like humans or whatever. So their reaction
To an
probably
extent,
would
yeah.
be like,
my
shit.
God!
Yeah, and it still would be like, oh, what the fuck happened? Like,
Like-
Like, oh my God! It's like, hey, don't take God's name. He's like, the fucking Emperor just died.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they'll probably sound like a Chaucer poem, but
Yeah.
other than that, yeah,
it's still to the same extent of
Chaucer,
shit.
not Chaucer, Chaucer. Yeah,
And that's the
but
thing.
yeah, no, you're right.
They would have those meetings of just like. I can imagine them just like standing like this and just looking at each other like,
what the fuck do we do, bro?
Because you've got 70,000 people behind you, and you're just like...
And then you've got, like, the other two nations, and they're like, fucking dumbass.
Yeah, the nations are like, I'm going home. What the hell? I can't believe we followed you
That's
to
why
this
I
place."
love films like what was it, The Death of Stalin, where it's like they're just reacting very naturally to these massive events.
Yeah,
You know, like they just talk like regular people
Yeah.
instead of this very dramatic
Well, that's the
dialogue
thing,
that a lot of movies
I don't remember
have.
where it was, but I remember these people. They were like, "Oh, we saw these like hieroglyphs up on the wall, and it was like in a cave, but it was like super high up." And they were like, "How did people get up there or whatever?" They got up there
Yeah.
to like read the hieroglyphs, and it just said, "This is very high up."
that
That is brilliant.
that is peak shit posting right
yeah,
there.
that's what I'm saying.
Peak ancient shit
Even-
posting.
Yeah,
I
even
love
in
it.
Ancient times, they still had the same sort of humor.
Oh,
it
yeah,
was just
they
like
have-
said differently.
Yeah, they've uncovered like carvings in Pompeii that are literally just shit posting, like saying, like this guy eats this other guy's ass, or I fucked
was
this guy's
here.
mum. Yeah, like just stuff like that
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
ancient
That's the
Italy.
thing,
Yeah,
I don't know. You always just think of
nuts.
them being like really like sophisticated or whatever, or like it's like a different time or whatever. Like they
which
still
to
had-
an extent, yeah, but
yeah,
they're
Like the
still just
kids-
people.
yeah, they still
Yeah.
had that same sort of humor. It was
Exactly.
just like, said different or whatever.
It's like when you read like articles or letters from like 100, 200 years ago,
Yeah.
where they're complaining about the kids, they fire off these short missives to each other, foregoing a more long form of communication that
Yeah.
communicates more information. And it's like, that's from like 200 years ago.
Yeah.
They were complaining about kids texting in the 18th century. You know,
I saw this post and it was just like
shit don't change, man.
yeah, they're like people like complaining about kids on their phones these days. It's like before that, people used to read like teen magazines and listen to their Walkmans like that.
Yeah.
Before that, they used to crochet. Like people have been
People-
ignoring
you know,
people for centuries.
People would read the newspaper on
Yeah.
on the train on their way to work. It's no different.
Yeah, it's like you can like have a go at me for being on my phone, but like people have been ignoring other people for centuries. Like don't have
Yeah.
a go at me for this.
Yeah, people are people, and people don't change.
So,
As depressing as that might be, it is true.
the Crusade, the Third
Would you like
Crusade.
your drink?
No, I'll probably have to piss.
It's all right, we can vamp. We've been vamping for like half this episode.
The Crusade was almost successful, with two important cities being captured. However, the 36 to 74,000 troops failed to capture Jerusalem, which was the primary goal of the Crusade. The Crusading force did, however, have a lot of territorial control, especially across the Levant coastline. In 1192, Richard and Saladin finalized the Treaty of Jaffa, which recognized Muslim control over Jerusalem and allowed unarmed Christian pilgrims and merchants to visit Jerusalem.
Let go
Yes.
of my hand. I'm sorry.
My drink.
Audio listeners are going to be very confused. I highly suggest watching
that-
this
that
episode
funny?
on YouTube.
Because I let go. And then
Oh
I
my
was just
God.
like, okay.
It was like a solid minute.
Yeah, there's a weird vibe in here today. To date.
Today.
To date.
It's wet and vibes.
To
all
date.
around.
To date. To date.
It's the only reason it was so funny. Like the original handshake was fine, but then I
Ugh.
let go, and I was like, I've still got my hair.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
So anyway, they failed, obviously.
Okay, so right, yes, there was a treaty at Jaffa,
Yeah.
and
I didn't
Seldom
hear
like, yeah.
anything.
oh my god.
I'm not repeating that, bro. Pretty much, long story
So-
short, all the troops failed to take Jerusalem. They did take a couple of important cities. Yes.
Yes.
Looking about to say something.
Okay, no, I was just like trying because I was half distracted by that as well. So, and just making faces at the camera. So yes, yeah, there was a siege of Jerusalem, wasn't there?
Yep.
Yes, and there were also or maybe that was later. I know that on the way, like while this army was marching into the Holy Land, they were like being continually attacked by Saladin's forces
Yeah,
in like
that sounds familiar.
in like guerrilla hit and run battles,
They're
like
real, like full-on accent.
guerrilla,
Gorilla.
yeah, guerrilla,
Guerrilla.
yeah.
Yeah.
Gorilla.
Yes, I was trying to say it with the accent, but I'll just say guerrilla. Yeah, and like they were doing like hit and run attacks, like
Yeah.
small squads of like 20, 30 men, like hitting the Crusaders with arrows and then booking it back into the hills on horseback. Yeah.
'cause They,
Yeah.
they knew they had one goal, so they could like predict where they were going so easily.
And the Crusaders like severely underestimated the amount of supplies that they would be able to pick up on the way. Like there were
usual.
no water sources, there was
Yeah.
no wildlife. Like they weren't able to hunt or anything, and they were severely like,
disease
undersupplied.
as well,
Yep.
classic.
Yep, there was a lot of disease going around, like like dysentery, malaria, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was those specific diseases, but yeah, they were
Something.
definitely not having a good time.
That's the thing. Like, I feel like a lot of people forget that like disease and dehydration will kill you so much faster
Oh,
than
yeah.
a sword or a
Oh,
knife. Like, those are things you actually
Definitely.
need to worry about. Everyone's like, oh my god, I don't want to go to battle. I don't want to die. It's like, bro, be glad if you get there.
yeah, yeah. Count
Oh yeah.
yourself lucky if you actually see combat.
Yeah.
So, the Fourth Crusade. Now,
I just realized there were 9 of these.
the Fourth
Yeah.
Crusade was on a different vibe.
We can
So,
probably like blast through some of them. Like the Third Crusade is the big
Yeah,
one, I think.
I mean,
There's still a fair amount of information to get through.
Yeah,
Well,
okay.
so
let's-
the Fourth
Yeah.
Crusade, 1202 to 1204. Very short.
So
It was,
very soon after the third one.
yeah,
Yeah.
very soon after. It was a Latin Christian
Wait.
armed expedition.
I just realized it was. I don't know why I blanked this, but these were over like years. The one where the guy died. How long did that take them? Like the one that drowned in the river.
like 3 years.
Yeah.
3 years for him to just fucking die.
The only like concrete date that I have is 1191, because
Yeah.
that's when the first Assassin's Creed game starts.
That sounds about right. Yeah. So
Again, that game was a
3
huge part of my
years for
childhood.
him to just die.
Yep, pretty much.
So, the Fourth Crusade, Latin Christian armed expedition called by Pope Innocent III. Not so innocent. The stated intent of the expedition was to recapture the Muslim-controlled
I
city of
sense
Jerusalem once
irony.
again by first conquering the powerful Egyptian Ayyubid Sultanate, the strongest Muslim state of the time. So that was pretty much where Saladin was, he was based.
Yeah.
Instead of attacking the Ayyubid Sultanate, the Crusaders on their way through the Byzantine attacked the capital city of the Byzantine Empire in 1204. This was due to a power struggle agreement within the Byzantine Empire in which the Crusader leadership had a deal with the Byzantine prince Alexios Angelos to restore his father to the throne by invading Constantinople, and in turn the Crusaders would receive financial and
Is that where that
military
song comes
aid
from?
for their advance on Jerusalem.
Yes. So the
Oh.
capital city of Turkey, or the Ottoman Empire, was
Turkey.
for hundreds, even thousands of years,
Long time.
called Constantinople.
And
Yeah.
now it's called Istanbul.
Istanbul.
Yeah.
Yes. But like even back as far as the 1500s, people in the city were calling it Istanbul. Yeah.
So-
Yes.
Pretty much,
Ah, that's a banger of a
the
song.
Crusaders
And-
were on the way past, and they're like, you know what? We vibing and just sacked Constantinople. They went hard. They just did not care, because I think at the time there was
Oh, so-
financial struggles for their crusade.
Yeah.
So they're like,
So that's where the sacking of Constantinople comes in. Okay, right.
yes.
Gotcha.
So Alexios was placed on the throne as a co-emperor. However, he was soon disposed by an uprising and murdered, resulting in the Crusaders deciding to just conquer the city and plunder of its wealth.
Nice.
So they're like, yeah.
So the Crusaders were just
though-
like, well,
Even though the Byzantine Empire at the time was Eastern Orthodoxy Catholicism, so they were still like within the same religion,
Realm.
pretty much.
Yeah.
Like a little different, but pretty much the same thing. Like, your
They were
city
like,
handed
well-
over. Well, they didn't care. It was like,
may as well.
yeah, pretty much, which I found quite humorous. Only a small number of Crusaders continued to the Holy Land, and the plunder and capture of Constantinople almost wholly caused the collapse of the Byzantine Empire after it fractured into 3 different states. Fuck.
Do you want some help?
Nicaea?
Nicaea, yeah.
Nicaea.
That's the one thing I hate about
Trebizond
doing these like
and
historic
Epirus.
ones.
Oh, fuck. my words, man.
Wait, I heard Nicaea, and then you started talking. What?
Nicaea.
Sorry, I was
Nicaea,
like,
Trebizond, and Epirus.
That's what I hate about these historic ones is that I just can't read. Like when I'm forced to read out loud, my
Yeah.
brain just goes no.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nicaea, Trebizond, and Epirus.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like we could be
Yep.
severely butchering that, but yeah.
Who cares?
You know, what? Give me a shot. Why not? I want to see.
Bro,
I want to be part of the fun. I don't even know where it is. Where are we looking?
In the middle, probably. I don't know. Middle bottom.
Oh man.
Look with your eyes, woman.
I'm just reading about the
Constantinople. Yeah.
doodly Knights
Dragon
Templar.
I don't know where you're looking. I literally can't see any of these.
Give me it back.
Oh, no, yeah, okay. I just
bad.
at the bottom.
No.
Oh.
It's in the middle.
Okay.
The Crusaders also established
proved my
7 Crusader states that came to be known as Francocratia in the former Byzantine territory. Territory mostly spanned over the landmass of modern-day Greece and was also known as the Latin Empire of Constantinople. So pretty much they just add their own shit there. Although still unstable, the fragmented states, countries, and empires almost immediately went to war with each other, including the Bulgarian Empire in the north.
Because of course they did.
Yeah.
However,
this is medieval Europe. Come on.
The Nissan.
Nice.
Nissan.
Yeah, I was
Empire.
like, what?
Come on, man.
Nicaea?
Nicaea. You should know Nicaea. You know the Nicene Creed.
I know it, but I can't say it.
The Nissan.
Ah, boy. Nicaean.
Nicene. The
Yes.
Nicene Empire eventually
Spelled the
recovered
same?
Constantinople and restored the
Yes.
Byzantine Empire in 1261. So that's a way
Next time I
past.
see
In-
Nissan, I'm gonna be like, that's a
Oh
nice
no, it's
Nissan.
no, not the same as Nissan. No.
Yeah.
Or Nissan.
No, Nissan.
And to this day, as a side note, like a lot of like Western countries or like some European ones still call Istanbul Constantinople just because of the Christian influences, which is really weird. I find. So like,
When did the name change?
oh fuck, I don't know. I didn't note that down. I probably should have.
Hang on, I'll look it up.
Yeah.
I've just been reading about the Knights Templar. So.
Damn, words are hard.
Yeah.
Shit. And all these like Muslim names, they're also really hard because I don't know any of like the background.
So it was, it was founded in 657 BC as Byzantium. It was renamed New Rome by Constantine the Great, and he soon changed that to Constantinople. So the city was named after Constantine, the emperor. And then the name was officially changed to Istanbul in 1930.
Oh,
Why?
Shit, wow.
Like, why
Ottoman
Istanbul?
Empire shit, probably.
Oh boy,
Yeah.
When it collapsed.
doodly
in
do.
The early 1900s.
I
Sort of.
don't know.
During World War II, after World War II.
That's my whole thing.
That was between the two world wars. Yeah,
Was it?
1930.
I thought-
What?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah, no, but then Ottoman Empire
Oh right.
collapsed after World War
Yeah, because there was still the Ottomans during World War One, definitely.
II. Yeah, 'cause we sailed in there. The
and
antics and then
okay. So the Turkish War of Independence ended in 1923 when they formed the Republic of Turkey.
Ah, okay. It's
That's
very
my whole
close. I'm assuming the Ottomans are still kind of there though.
I would assume there were still Ottoman sympathizers.
That's
in
my
the
whole
country.
thing with like names. I'm like, why New Zealand? Why?
New Zealand was
It was Zealand.
yes, it was named after a province of the
Okay.
Netherlands
Why
Yeah.
Zealand? Like, who
Because-
was just like that is what
because,
this is?
because
called?
that's what that place was called.
What the fuck's
But
his
how do they
name?
know that?
What
Who?
do you mean how they know that? No, because the guy sailed. What's his name?
Abel Tasman.
Abel Tasman. Yeah,
He was Dutch.
He was Dutch, and he sailed down, and he was the first person to discover New Zealand. And then
No, I'm
Captain
talking about
Cook showed
Zealand.
up.
Yes.
Zealand. Why was it called that?
We don't fucking
Just
know.
'cause-
That's my point.
Just because why
Why does language exist?
That's
Yes.
my point.
Why-
And it's like,
We don't know.
why Francia?
did-
Why England? You know
that's what
why?
I'm saying. That's
Then why
my
are you
whole
asking?
point.
You're asking why does
Because-
language name things? That is
Yes,
such.
I'm-
Look,
a
we could-
large
we- look, we
subject.
could-
How are we
How
supposed to explain that?
We could go, but look,
That's my point.
honestly, like it really just boils down to you need to describe things. You know,
Yeah.
like
Within the language,
why
it would
why do
make
we
sense.
call it a helicopter?
It's
Because that's what we call it.
Why, like English in general, is just like, how did we?
Why
how did we
is
just
this a
decide-
bag?
Yeah. How did we just decide that is a bag? It's a bag, and everyone was like, yeah, okay.
English is not a language. English is 3 languages
Yeah.
standing on top of each other wearing a trench coat.
Well, yeah.
English sucks.
But like,
I would explain, but it's too much. Okay?
even if
It
you,
really
even
is.
If you go to those like base languages or whatever, the point being, like, actually, I'm gonna use English because I know English. But like, the point being, why did someone just go, "That's a bag," and everyone just went, "Aight."
Well, A lot of the time things were named. I'll say especially cities that I know about because they would have had some relation to
Someone's
culture,
last name or something.
culture, religion, location, geography, and within the language that would make sense to location. And then over time, depending on whether the city changed hands or if people just forgot, like names would be shortened, they'd be lengthened, and parts would be taken out because they couldn't pronounce it. Stuff like that.
Leicestershire.
Yeah, we can't fucking say that.
Yeah. Which
called
now
Leicester.
is Leicestershire.
Yeah.
I thought it was Leicester now.
Leicester. Leicester is a city within Leicestershire, I believe.
Yeah.
Or Leicestershire, however you want to say it.
I didn't even.
Worcestershire.
How many people really say Leicestershire? They're just like Leicester.
Bro, we're
Well, that's
only
the
on
city.
the 5th
Yeah.
Crusade. Like, fuck. We're 55 minutes in.
Worcestershire.
It's
Worcestershire sauce.
Worcestershire.
Worcestershire.
So, 5th Crusade, pretty much they wanted to take the Ayyubid state in Egypt.
Okay.
Cool. Did they?
Pope Innocent. Pope Innocent and Pope
Good
Honoris,
question.
And Pope Honoris were his successor.
Yes.
Were the two popes that organized the armies. Obviously, Pope Innocent fucking died. And then Pope Honoris took over, and the armies were led by King Andrew II of Hungary and Duke Leopold VI of Austria.
Leopold.
The first assault saw Andrew's army land in Israel and land a victory against Eladil at Bethsaida on the Jordan
I
River.
know what I'm talking about.
Andrew's plan was to attack Lebanon, but the catapults,
Nice.
and trebuchets to assault fortresses did not arrive. Thus, he just returned back to Hungary. So his catapults, trebuchets, and shops, he's like, I'm fucking off.
Wait, so he
No,
got to the location
he-
and they just didn't show up.
He tried to siege a city with no siege equipment.
Well, he wanted to get into Lebanon, but there was all the fortresses like in Lebanon, like country, state, whatever.
Right.
It's called.
Yes.
Or classified as, but he couldn't
See,
because he had none of the siege equipment.
This is the thing
Nice.
about like lack of cell phones and things like that back in the day. Can you imagine him traveling all that way and just nothing shows up?
He was like,
Well, it's like when you're you're flying internationally and then your bag ends up on the wrong plane.
Yeah, and you're just
oh,
like,
yeah,
ah.
shit.
But at
It's,
least you can call someone about that. You're not just like, oh,
yeah. Yeah. I saw Ninja Sex Party play in Auckland. The band.
The
I was
band.
like, where is this going?
It's
I've never-
related.
Okay,
Um,
sure.
And they like the show had like a story, like a framing story around it. And at one point, the villain of the story, it was this like cyborg T-Rex character. They are a comedy band, by the way.
You don't say.
Yeah, he like comes out on stage and tries to like destroy the show, and it was supposed to be a legit cyborg T-Rex costume. Like they played a whole bunch of shows in Australia, and the costume was there and it was fine. But when they came to New Zealand, the costume got stuck in customs, so they had to go out that afternoon and get a replacement. It was literally the head from one of those inflatable T-Rex costumes and a pink morph suit.
Oh my god.
My
But
goodness.
it was still amazing.
Yeah.
Like it had the
Just
same
like,
effect.
look, he comes out on stage and the band's just like, ugh.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they said when he was coming out, our costume got stuck in customs, so this is the best we could do this afternoon. Please pretend it's an actual T-Rex.
You're just like, look,
Yeah.
this is what we got, man.
That was such a good show.
Oh man.
But yeah, it's kind of the same thing, I imagine.
Yeah,
Except with
man.
massive siege engines.
Yeah.
They just,
With a much more, what do you call it? Drastic consequence.
Yeah.
I think they would have arrived, but like I don't know where they got stuck.
And that's the thing, like,
Probably
how
on a
long?
boat.
How long do you wait for something like that? Like,
Months, probably. Oh
no, I'm saying how
Well-
long did he wait? Because like he
Oh,
gets
that's
to
a
the
good question.
location. You're not just gonna sit there for a week, are you? Because that's the thing. Those
It-
things.
it
What if
probably
they
take, like-
were just delayed by a week? But obviously he waits there for like 2 days, and he's like, "Well, they're not here.
I'm
I'ma
assuming
leave."
It probably only takes
They
like
show up 4 days later. Like,
a week or two to sail. From
Yeah, I
where
would-
They
I would s-
were to Israel, and often they stopped off in Cyprus,
Mm.
so they had like a staging ground.
Cyprus being an island off of Greece,
Yes.
I believe. Or is it off of the Middle Eastern coast kind of thing?
south
It's
of
in that
Greece.
area.
It's south of Greece, I'm pretty sure.
It's in that very Western Mediterranean kind of area.
So-
Eastern, sorry.
yeah.
Not Western.
So, A second army of mixed units of the Dutch, Flemish, and Frisian, led by Count William I of Holland, joined the Fifth Crusade and occupied the port town of Demeter as a staging position for the plan to conquer Egypt. So it was like right at the top on the Nile River, pretty much. The force had allied with the Seljuk Sultanate of Rum, which at the time occupied a large portion of modern-day Turkey, and more so the southern area. And because obviously, the Byzantine was fucked. And they attacked the Ayyubids in Syria to prevent the Crusaders from being attacked on two fronts. Crusaders marched from Demeter to lay siege to El Mansoura on the way south towards Cairo. However, the Crusaders' camp was destroyed after Sultan Al-Kamil ordered a dam in the Nile River to be broken, thus resulting in the Crusader camp being flooded. This led to the Crusader force being crushed and forced to surrender, as well as having to sign a peace treaty for an 8-year. Having to sign a peace treaty for an 8-year period.
They're like,
Nice.
hey, can you just not attack us for another 8 years, please? I bet.
They're like, fuck off.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Like, that's when you know it's bad. That's like when you get like a timeout in a game. They're like, look, okay, come back after this like burnout period. Because that's the thing. Once that contract is up, do you reckon like to the day they'd just be like, we can attack again? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
probably.
Yeah, and quite often they were broken towards the end.
but that's the thing. Wouldn't those people just prepare, being like, hey, so the end of their 8-year thing is up. We should probably prepare.
Well, yeah, they would.
So what's the point? Just give up. Like I said, after the third one, just give up.
Yeah.
Your emperor or king, whatever emperor, dies in a river by drowning.
Well,
I think
it's only one of the forces. It wasn't all of them.
And-
yeah, I know, but still, that's your sign to be like, look.
Well, you have to bear in mind, religion is complicated.
Oh, bro, yeah.
Yep. So, the Sixth Crusade, commonly known as the Crusade of Frederick II, from
Wait, quick
1228
pause.
to
Besides
1229.
Jerusalem being like the Holy Land or whatever, was there actually any point to having that land? Besides it being the Holy Land, like, does it have any like rich?
Not really.
Not really.
So there's actually like, besides the Holy Land bit, like it's not like Africa where there's gems or there's like
The only thing would probably be like some political influences from other countries. Like, hey, can you like the Byzantine asking in the First Crusade for military aid? Like, hey, wanna shimmy all down, help us out?
because we can have access to the Holy Land.
Yes, pretty
So
much
literally
religious
the
and
only
political.
waging point was we're taking the Holy Land. You can be a part of
Yeah.
the Holy Land.
Keeps the church in power.
I'm trying my best not to crunch into the mic.
It's such a waste of time and resources and people's
Crusade.
energy, money.
Crusader Frederick II was a military expedition to
Is this
recapture
the
the
sixth
city
or
of
seventh?
Jerusalem. Sixth.
Cool.
Began 7 years after the failure of the Fifth Crusade and involved very little actual fighting.
So they broke their treaty. Wait, what?
So, originally Frederick II, the Holy Roman Emperor, coronated in 1220, was supposed to be involved in the Fifth Crusade. However, he had to consolidate his power in Germany and Italy before he went, so pretty much he was a little bitch. Due to marrying Isabella II of Jerusalem in 1225, Frederick had claims on the Kingdom of Jerusalem, as Isabella was the daughter of John of Brienne, the nominal ruler of the Kingdom of Jerusalem.
So he had already had claims. Why did he want to seize it? He already had that.
Make a stronger claim.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Politics, religion.
Especially medieval politics, man.
That was like this
Yeah.
thing I saw today, slightly unrelated, but in terms of like wanting more power thing, it was done as prison breaks, and this guy who was in like a really like light cell because he did some sort of petty crime, but crime no less. He was in this like really light cell, and he put his papers in to get parole or whatever, and he was like, "Nah, I'm gonna try and escape," and he did escape, but he got caught, obviously. Turns out, while he was out escaping, turns out they had approved his parole papers, and he was going to be let go that day.
Nice.
But obviously he got caught because he tried to escape, so he got put into a high security something or other
Oh,
because he became a
for
flight
fuck's
risk.
sake, dude.
And I was just like, that's so
Do we
dumb.
know what he was in for?
If I watch the video again, I
No,
could, but
yeah.
I don't remember. But it was something
Okay.
like super petty, like maybe just like burglary, like register sort of thing, or something. It was something super petty.
Marijuana possession.
Yeah, probably. Oh,
Highlight.
I think it might have been because I think he got caught with drugs on his person. I think it was
Oh my
something
God.
along those lines.
Right.
Which he was only gone for like a couple of hours. I don't know how he acquired drugs in that time, but point being, yeah. So you had something so good.
Yeah.
Because he said that he was getting stir crazy, but he was only in there for like a couple weeks, couple months.
Like, at least wait for, the results of your parole hearing to come through, right?
Yeah.
And then escape.
Yeah, they were just like, fun
bit
fact,
dumb.
now you're in this really uncomfortable cell. You were actually going to leave today.
Yeah.
Dumbass.
Bro, that would suck. Just
Where was
don't
I?
commit crimes. Going on to the 7th.
Nominal rule of the kingdom. No, I'm still on the 6th.
Oh, okay, jokes.
As a result
married.
of the political pressure from the Pope at the time, in 1227, Gregory the Ninth, the Pope. Sorry, I got confused.
The
So
Pope.
Pope Gregory the Ninth was exerting political pressure on Frederick. So he had to launch a crusade into Israel, and he landed at Acre, which was a port town in
Acre.
Israel. Acre, yeah.
Yeah.
Acre.
Acre.
It looks like Acre.
100 acre woods.
Yeah.
Acre.
Creed.
Acre.
All right. I mean, now you're just being insensitive.
Shit. Okay. Which was the temporary capital of Jerusalem at the time, pretty much, because they didn't have Jerusalem.
Temporary
Do you
capital of
remember when
Palestine?
Auckland was our capital?
mean?
What?
Capital of Palestine, or
It was the temporary or nominal capital of the Kingdom of Jerusalem.
okay, Kingdom of Jerusalem. Okay,
Yeah.
there we go.
Yeah.
Do you
Cool.
remember Auckland being the capital?
No.
What?
When did that
Auckland
change?
Auckland used to be our capital city,
Yeah, but
When did
and then it
Not
became
for,
Wellington.
like-
That's what I'm saying. Like, when
for
was that a
ages.
thing?
well, the capital city used to be Russell or Kororaraka.
Yeah, that was
if
all
you wanna
the way
be
up north. That was like east
proper
of
about it.
Auckland, across the
Yeah.
bay.
Hang on a
So I'm
second.
just saying, I remember it being like, oh, this capital because it's like the biggest and whatever. And then I was just like, when did that change and why?
Because Wellington's more central.
Makes
So
sense.
yeah, I guess to the island, yeah, but like, doesn't matter.
Yes.
Really?
Not really now, but it did then.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, continue.
So sorry.
Guess
yeah,
they weren't
so-
dumb.
The Okay, no. Oh boy. What is that?
So you could have.
Okay, so it wasn't. Okay, so the first capital was not Kororaraka or Russell. It was Okiato or Old Russell. That was the capital, and that was the capital from 1840 to 1841.
Oh.
And then they changed it to Auckland in 1841, and that was the capital for 24 years until 1865 when it moved to Wellington. So no,
And I'm like,
I don't remember Auckland being the capital, Jen.
I thought it was like
How old
relatively.
How old do you think I am?
I'm 30 years old.
Anyone born between before 2000? I'm like, nah, you were around then, eh?
Fuck's
Nah,
sake.
jokes. I'm actually a vampire.
Oh,
So when did
man.
you participate in Crusades?
Deus Volt.
You were like,
Fuck's
I was
sake.
one of the officers who watched that guy drown, and I was like, you know what, we should
Bro.
just do it.
Praise be to Salahadin.
Fuck's sake.
You were like, you know what, that was me.
Jesus. Yeah.
You are
Pla-
calling the class.
Plot twist. I drowned Emperor Frederick.
No.
Plot twist, you kicked
I,
his
pu- I,
horse.
pu- I pushed him off his horse.
I am in charge now.
I cut the brake lines on his horse.
Sakes.
Oh my god.
I don't know why, but that just entailed, like, in my brain, cutting the brake lines of the horse was just, like, pulling the tail or something like that. So, like,
No, you just walk up behind it and like slice its tendons and its
Oh my
leg.
god. Oh my goodness.
Just fucking hamstring the horse.
Oh my god.
Hey, you started it. You started it.
I said pull the tail. You're like, slice its tendon.
Well, yeah, like you're cutting the brake lines. What else? What's pulling? What is pulling?
Bro,
What is pulling the tail gonna do? What is pulling the tail gonna? Why would that stop the horse? That's likely to get you kicked by a horse. Horses are scary, man. Do not.
You want to cut its legs? This
Oh
tendon?
my-
I'm gonna share with you guys some cowboy wisdom.
I'm
I-
concerned.
Yeah, same. I was like, really?
Real cowboy wisdom.
Oh boy, what is it? Never approach a bull from the front, a horse from the back, or a fool from any direction.
Thank you.
There are so many good cowboy
my
sayings
God.
that are just like excellent life advice. The quickest way to double your money is to fold it in half and put it back in your pocket.
I saw this thing about tipping, and it was like a special way to fold a note so it looks like you've let like 4 notes there, but
Yeah.
then you like pick it up and it's just one
Oh,
note that's been
yeah.
folded like that. And I'm
That's
like, wow,
evil.
scumbag
Sad.
note.
Yeah. Okay, so
Right,
Frederick,
moving on
Go
from
for it.
landed,
Shanking a horse.
he landed in, was it Acre?
So many Fredericks.
Was it
And
Acre,
yes,
you said it was?
Acre.
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 And
Acre.
however,
Acre.
he had to go back to Italy because of an epidemic, of course.
He's like, I'm not getting involved
Due
in
to
this shit.
this, Gregory the Pope excommunicated him from the Catholic Church to the Christian Church because he broke his Crusader vow.
So he was like, yo, there's an epidemic going on, and the guy's like, I don't give a fuck. Like,
Yeah,
when
kicked him out.
when was this exactly?
1227.
Okay, so it was not the Black Death. Okay,
No,
that was later. That was like another 100 years later.
Yeah. In 1228.
wait, the Black
Fred-
Death, that's different from the plague, right?
Yeah. That's not the
Or is
same.
that the plague?
That's the plague.
Black Death is the
Black
plague?
Death is the plague.
Oh, okay.
Yes, the bubonic plague. Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So, in 1228, Frederick once again sailed to Israel and landed in Acre.
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 Uh,
Oh,
Acre.
Acre.
Yes.
Like your chakra. But Acre.
Yes.
Acre.
Acre.
doesn't look like that.
I know.
As it was the nominal...
every time I read
say
Melee.
that language, man. As it was the nominal capital of the Kingdom of Jerusalem, like I said before.
Yes.
He also stopped in Cyprus before this and lost favour with the faction that had political influence in the kingdom, known as the Ibelin
Why?
faction, who were Crusaders.
Why do you lose fame?
Probably like
He was an
insulted
asshole.
them or something.
Ah, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Even though
I mean,
they were pretty welcoming.
Yeah.
he was a crusader.
They're
Of course,
like,
he was an asshole.
welcome. And he's
Yeah.
like, yo, I'm going to
So-
steal all your shit. And they're like, well, get out.
Yeah.
Not quite along those lines, but he was an asshole. Once in the
Draw
Kingdom
sword.
of Jerusalem, Frederick
Pull
lost
shotgun.
considerable political
Parry
power
this, you fucking casual.
as the factions in Acre.
Acre.
I'm
Like
sorry.
your chakra, but
Acre. Acre. Well, I'm looking at it. It's
Oh my
ACRE.
Yes, it
Okay?
is. Yes, it is.
So don't blame me for my brain not making a connection. Acre was split between him and the papacy, or like the Pope's faction, or the
the
church's
papacy.
faction.
Yes.
The papacy. The
The
papacy.
papacy.
Papa.
Yes.
Due to this,
Papist.
the force that actually left Acre was small compared to the one that had amassed when the Crusade was first called. Instead of assaulting Jerusalem in a siege that ultimately would fail, Frederick
Mhm.
negotiated with Ayyub bin Saladin al-Kamil to cede Jerusalem to him. This worked, as al-Kamil was caught up in fighting his nephew in Damascus and didn't want to split his forces.
Damascus.
Frederick also received Nazareth, Sidon, Jaffa, and Bethlehem, although Frederick had controlled the majority of Jerusalem to have the agreement passed.
I just witnessed
Some-
a live buffer.
Some areas were still under the Sultan's control, mostly like religious influenced ones. The treaty that concluded in 1229 also included a 10-year truce and afterwards attended a ceremony, Frederick attended a ceremony, to wear a crown, which is debated as whether it was an official coronation or not to the Kingdom of Jerusalem.
I feel like if you're wearing a crown and you're in front of a crowd, it's coronation.
Well, it was said that it was just his own, like, emperor crown.
So it's a participation medal to make him
yeah.
feel special.
It wasn't even like they don't even think
Oh
it
my
was the
God.
King of Jerusalem crown. It was just his. That they were
Just
like
like,
made a
you know
fancy
what?
ceremony about.
Yeah.
Get it.
Oh
Yeah.
dear.
You want to feel part of the group? Yeah, here you go.
I feel like every time I come to say Jerusalem, I say it differently every time, just because my brain's like Jerome.
Pastor Jerome.
Jerusalem. I'm losing it, man. Okay,
Kanye.
the Seventh Crusade.
Oh, that was all still sick.
Holy shit. Let's blast through
The Seventh
these.
Crusade was a crusade led by Louis.
Start speaking in 3 times the speed.
Alright, come on, focus. Let's go.
was
Let's go.
led
Let's
by
go. Let's go.
Louis IX of France from 1248 to 1254. In 1244, the Khwarizmia, as close as I can get, was displaced by advancing Mongols from the east, which led to them allying with the Egyptian Mamluks, which, side note, are a class of slave soldier.
Nice.
And
Okay.
they took Jerusalem on the way to doing so. So they went west to flee the Mongols. And like, know what? Jerusalem looking kind of fine.
We may as well seize this.
Give Jerusalem a break, man.
Yeah. Okay, so
Wait, so this was a different group to the one that just happened?
that was in 1248. The
Oh, okay,
the last one
yeah.
ended in 1229.
Okay.
So, at the time, the struggle between Frederick II and the papacy,
The papacy.
papacy,
Oh my god. All right, I can
Papacy.
see.
was still occurring, which meant that Frederick was in no position in the crusade. I mean, he already fucked up. I mean, technically, he negotiated. He didn't really fight. But,
I'm sorry, just that phrase. He was in no condition to crusade.
He's like, yo, I'm not really feeling it today. Give me another 6 years and I'll be right.
It was the
Oh my
same
God.
with others. So other powerful empires such as Hungary and England were engaged in other situations at the time. So France was the only king.
Situations.
Well, Hungary was actually restoring their country after it got attacked by the Mongols. So
It's
I
like
mean,
that
fair.
weird kid you don't want to go to their party. They're like, hey, do you want to hang out? And they're like, yeah, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but I'm busy like cleaning my cat.
And I think
I have to
think
wash my
England-
hair.
And I think England was having like domestic situations, so you know.
I have to restore my country. We just had a horde of
I have to
Mongols
vacuum
come
my
through.
driveway.
It's rough in here, man.
Oh my god. Okay. So England other situation at the time. So France was the only kingdom that could engage properly. I said France was the only king. France is a king.
Yes. Well.
Especially as France was one of the strongest states in Europe at the time. The main force of French were led by Louis IX, as well as a small force of Englishmen led by William Longespee, were also present for the Crusade, apparently. So they were like a small contingency that came along. Pretty much all French, but, you know. The Latin Empire at the time requested help from the Crusaders, with the Empire of Nicaea and the Principality of Antioch attacking them.
You are killing me, man.
However,
The Holy Hand Grenade of Antioch.
However, the Knights Templar wanted the Crusades to help in Syria as well, because they were vibing down there.
They were vibing down there.
Yeah. Just crusading.
Yeah, take a drink, Lee. Take a drink.
Louis pretty much just ignored them and sailed to his goal, Egypt. So he's like, no, fuck them. Once again, the train of thought to capture Egypt to then attack Jerusalem from was the idea.
I thought that was your
so.
glass, and I panicked.
So not very
It's good.
original.
It's fine.
Yep, just Egypt again. So the Crusade.
Egypt's like, I'm on my
Yep.
grind again.
So the
Gosh.
Crusaders captured Demeter again.
I love taking
It's not
old
even
school
how you
things and
say it.
applying new school logic to them.
Yeah.
It's not even Demeter. I'm pretty sure it's like Demeter. But
Demeter or something. How's it spelled? Show me.
Damietta.
Let me see.
Yeah, I was like, whenever people like say, "Oh yeah, how's it spelled?" and they just spell it out, I'm like, no, I need to see
Yeah,
this.
actually, I know I did that.
Demeter.
Demeter.
I assume.
Demeter?
That sounds better.
Demeter.
Demeter's like a Greek god.
Scrap. Pap pap.
Okay.
Disgusting.
they,
Fourth time you've burped.
they captured Demeter.
Mine's not hot.
But we're... Shut up. Stop.
No.
But were prevented from advancing further as the Nile River flooded. Classic. Displacing them for 6 months. Louis also commanded military operations in the Kingdom of Jerusalem against the Muslims of Syria while he just vibed there. So he was just like sending messengers like, hey, go do this.
Wait, so they're just chilling at the river. Like, could you imagine getting like? It takes you like a couple months to get wherever, and the river's just flooded, and you're like,
Yeah. So after they could advance again, they marched towards Cairo, and at the same time, the Sultan of Egypt at the time, Salul Ayub, was killed in the English contingent. Was killed by the English contingency. The contingent marched onto El Mansura, however, were defeated. Louis, on the other hand, was attacked by the Mameluke Baibars, which were a future
The
sultan,
Babadour.
like it was the force of a future sultan.
Right.
And it was named. He was pretty much called Baibars because his name was way too fucking long.
Babas.
Have you seen his name? It's fucking
No.
long as
No,
shit.
can I see it? I want to.
Yeah.
I want
I
to try.
didn't write it down. Search it up. Just search up Sultan Baibars.
Sultan Babas.
Baibar. And they were defeated, of course.
of course.
Classic. However, instead of retreating to Damietta, he besieged Mansoura, which is another city, which led to the starvation and death of his army. With the remnants of his army, Louis attempted to return to Damietta. However, his army was annihilated and he was captured, eventually being released in the same year after being ransomed. After this, Louis acted as a de facto leader in the Kingdom of Cyprus or Jerusalem as he rebuilt Crusader cities. However, his money ran out and he had to return to France to deal with local matters, but not before establishing a French garrison in a...
You right?
I forgot how to spell it. Say it again.
Acre?
Acre? Yep.
Instantly knew.
So,
Oh my god.
give it an attempt at
Wait.
Alright.
Biber's full name.
Wait. So how do you spell the? Because I
B-A-I-B-A-R-S.
Bah.
A-I.
Sultan Bibers.
A-R-S.
Yes. So, yes. So this guy was the 4th Mamluk Sultan of Egypt in the Bahri dynasty. Bahri, however you say that. B-A-H-R-I. I don't know. So, his full name. So, he was commonly known as Baybars, or his nickname, Abu al-Futuh. Okay? But, his full name, Al-Malik al-Zahir Rukn al-Din Baybars al-Bunduktari.
That's actually really good. Because first of all, how did you say the first part?
Al-Malik.
So you said Malik, whereas I thought Malik because that's how they pronounce.
Like Darth Malik.
What?
You uncultured swine.
What did you say?
Darth Malik from Knights of the
right.
Old Republic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I remember.
Okay.
Malik
No,
and Revan.
I was
Yeah,
thinking.
forgot.
Yeah.
I was like, what the
I
hell
was
are you on
thinking
about?
the actor.
Rami Malek?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That guy.
Yeah.
He's great.
Rami?
But it's Malik, whereas you said Malik, and I was like,
Right.
well, I'm already
Yeah.
out.
Fun fact, Rami Malek, actually Egyptian.
He's also a twin.
Is he?
Didn't he
Huh.
play the Egyptian guy in Night of Music?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was
Yeah.
Pharaoh Akhmun Ra. Akhmun Ra.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
And then his brother, played by Hank Azaria, was Kamun Ra.
Oh, that's it. Yeah.
Kamun
yeah,
Ra.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
what I was thinking. Yeah.
I can't
So-
say it quickly.
Wait, that's his brother.
Yes.
Obviously older, but
Yes. And
Yeah.
then what's his name played his dad in the third one. Oh my god.
but you know he's
I
a twin.
know
'cause
this guy.
His twin. Was,
Ben Kingsley.
His twin was studying some sort of Greek class or something. I remember seeing this on Graham Norton, and he was like, "Do you know any like tragedies? I don't know if it was a Greek tragedy or whatever it was."
Darth played just the one.
Wow. And Rami was like, "Actually, I do." So he pretended to be his brother and did the class for him, and then they were like, "Wow, that was oddly good." And they were like, "Ah." Because his brother was like, do it well, like, so I passed, but, like, don't do it, like, too good, because they'll know that there's something up.
Right.
They didn't know there was something up, but they were kind of just like, how did you suddenly get so, like...
Bruh. Do that.
Because obviously he was studying
Jeez.
acting at the time, and he had to perform a tragedy.
Yeah.
And then he did it, like, really well, and they were like, can you perform that for my other class? And he was like, actually, I've got this, like, thing that I need to, like, go...
So his brother had to do a performance, so he stood in for him.
yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah, I can't find anything on that. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't...
Anyway,
I believe you, though.
the final crusade, the 8th and 9th, technically, but the 9th was pretty sad. As
okay.
all were. The 8th Crusade was a crusade launched by Louis IX of France, again, against the Hafsid dynasty in
How many
1270.
How many crusades has Louis IX launched now?
Two?
Two?
Two.
Two.
The 7th and the 8th, although some of them were, like, together, and there's, like, things in between.
Oh my
It's
God.
like, these are, like, the official crusades, I would say.
Okay.
The 8th Crusade is quite often counted as the 9th Crusade as well. After his
Huh.
failure in the 7th Crusade, Louis continued to send financial aid to the Crusader states known as...
What? Sorry.
Sorry. You could have just said it out of mic. You could have just been like, oh, but it's the fact that you went... Huh. It's like you really didn't need to...
I am a
like,
professional.
audibly need to be like, ah.
For anyone who, for some reason, is still listening to the audio version of this, Jen just showed me a picture of Rami Malek's twin brother. And yes, I moved back to my mic to speak.
Yeah.
Because I am a professional.
I thought you would just look
Semi-professional.
at the photo and be like, oh, yeah, okay, cool. Because it wasn't like integral to the podcast that they needed to hear it. But there was just a
disagree.
long pause and then just, Huh. Like, I thought you were moving back to the mic to, like, add something to the conversation.
Honestly, I didn't even think about it. I just did it.
It just got me.
Yeah.
Okay. Continue.
Oh,
What
boy.
are you doing? Are you about to... Oh,
just got me.
It's the villager from Minecraft.
Yeah, it is. Just.
Can someone's laugh is funnier than the joke?
It's fucking loose in it.
I just wasn't expecting that. Oh my god.
I was waiting for it to
Oh shit.
Oh, bro, I'm
Okay.
so hard.
Oh boy.
Okay, the Eighth
Right.
Crusade.
Yes.
Yeah.
Eighth Crusade. Let's
against
please.
the Hafsid dynasty in 1270. Okay.
Yes.
The Eighth Crusade is
Calm.
quite often counted as the Ninth Crusade as well, after his failed in the Seventh Crusade. Louis continued to send financial aid to the Crusader states known as Outremer, which included the Kingdom of Jerusalem, and there was like a few other states there that were kind of like Israel along that coast. Although the states had aid from many, they still failed to the advance of the Berbers in Syria. In 1267, Louis officially took up the cross and formed the Crusade. However, the response to this crusade was apparently lackluster compared to the Seventh. It is reported as such.
They're like, after the 7th Crusade, they're like, bruh, come on.
It is
No.
reported as such due to the possibility of the record being biased because the person who recorded a lot of it was kind of didn't approve, which was fair.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Louis had initially intended to land in the states of Outremer. However, they changed their plan to land in Tunis, the capital of Tunisia, as it was under the assumption that
Where's
Tunis
Tunisia?
had logistical, strategical positioning, and they could possibly convert its caliph, Muhammad I al-Mustansir, or something along those lines,
Ye-
to Christianity if given military support. So that's the northwestern, like, tip of Africa.
Yeah, I was gonna say Northern Africa.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
like
It's like
northwest,
Mediterranean kind of thing.
Mhm.
Fun fact: that's where most of the first Star Wars film was made.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like all the Tatooine bits were filmed in Tunisia.
Oh,
You can still go visit the Lars homestead. Like
Oh,
it's
yeah.
still I think it was it was already there, that building, and they just
oh.
used it as the Lars
Is
home.
it
Yeah.
not like a...
Set.
Yeah. Oh, no, like a... like,
I don't think any of those sites are protected. No.
Oh.
Like or
Isn't it like an
conserved
I was
or
gonna
anything.
say, like, the Lord
an
of the Rings site
Airbnb
here.
now? Or like some of those lines. It's like
I
you can
think
stay
so.
there. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look that up.
Oh, so it's
Keep
not
going.
like, it's not like Hobbiton here, sort of thing.
No,
Oh.
definitely not.
So, the Crusaders landed in Tunisia and set up camp. However, the combined forces were swept over by disease, leading to the death of Louis IX and other prominent individuals. Also, individuals, including his son, I believe, from what I read. Due to this,
Bruh.
Tunis was not sieged. However, a treaty was created and free trade was allowed in Tunisia by the Sultan there.
They're like,
And
we were gonna
that
take
was-
over your place, but our leader kind of
Yeah.
died, so can we just come to an agreement?
That was mainly in the suggestion of the Sicilian forces that were there because, like, the Lord was the brother of Louis or had, like, relation to him, and he's like, yo, let's go to Tunisia. And then he set up trade with them pretty much.
Yeah.
So he gained the most profit out of that.
Yeah.
You know.
Someone actually
smart.
with a level head was finally
Yeah.
in power.
Yeah, he's like, we traded.
Yeah.
How
How about we do something constructive?
At the same time, the Sultan Berbers, he initially was sending forces, but obviously he cancelled them because he's like, oh, they're fucking dying.
Yeah.
The Crusaders returned to Sicily with an English force led by Prince Edward of England, which had like kind of sailed down, but they just got there as people were fucking dying. They're like, so they sailed back. But then they diverted the English force to
Acre?
Acre?
my brain.
Jesus.
Acre in 1971 and engaged Berbers forces. However, little victories for either side were made. Due to problems back in England, Edward retreated, and after this, Crusader influence slowly faltered and eventually crumbled until the fall of Acre in 1291, which was considered as the end of the permanent Crusader presence there.
Woohoo.
Cool.
There was still another one after this, though, wasn't
Nope.
there? Oh, that
so
was
pretty
the
much
night.
that diversion of the Force, the English Force with Prince Edward, that was like called Edward's Crusade, and
Okay.
Prince Edward's Crusade, or whatever, or Lord Edward's whatever, and it was considered the Ninth Crusade, but like it was pretty much a part of the Eighth at the same time. So
Yeah.
it's like,
Wait, so was there a failed ninth?
yeah, you can call Prince Edward's Crusade
Oh,
the failed
okay.
Ninth.
Okay,
that
cool,
Force
cool,
that
cool,
went in because he was like, no, I'm out.
Fair enough.
Because he didn't really do much. He made like a little dent. He's like, oh, yeah, there's no point.
Yeah.
Sailed back. So yeah.
Once again, people with logic. It's like, we'll try it. If not, like, all right, cool.
So those were the Crusades, or like.
I love how
the
those are
main
so like prominent. Like
facts.
they're like called the Crusades, the Ninth Crusade. Not a lot happened, to be honest.
Not really.
Like out of all the people that
It
went
was
there
pretty
and things like that, like
useless.
yeah, it's just like this big part of history that's just like, it happened, but like not really.
My brain hurts.
Oh my
I don't
God.
know if doing podcasts at this time has like made it better or worse because
I like it.
it's funnier because we're all running on like fumes at this point, but
I
at
need
the
to
same
change my
time.
shirt.
I think. Oh my God. I think that my topic for next week is going to be made funnier by recording at this time. It's
Yeah.
actually going to serve it well.
Perhaps, who knows?
Yes.
Oh my
Like
God.
I've
You'll
had a
find out.
great time.
Yeah. So, going back to the Star Wars for a moment, the Lars Homestead was like, it was a set built, like the dome building, the entrance.
Yeah.
That was a set built out in the Tunisian desert for the film back in 1975, whenever they were filming, because the movie came out in 77. So that was kind of left there after filming, and then they came back in, I want to say 2001, because Attack of the Clones was released in 2002. No, it was 2000 that they came back and reconstructed it for that movie. And then they left it, and then a few years after that, a group of fans came along and just like, bloody, what do you call it when they
Refurbished?
refurbished, restored it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like on and off being restored every now and
Oh.
then. Like,
Right.
it's like there's no like proper initiative to fund it, and
Yeah.
it doesn't get done very often.
That's
but
the
it's
thing,
still in
like-
fairly good repair.
Like that's the thing about like people just build shit and then they just kind of leave it, and that's the thing. Like you leave it, you forget about it, whatever. But it's still just like chilling there, and
Yep.
you can come across. That's the one thing I really would actually like to do some urban exploring, but like it's kind of illegal in most places.
Little bit. I would love to go into the old Barrett Street Hospital. I think
right?
the nurses' residence is still like they've demolished
People
most of
do
the hospital,
go in there, but,
but
like
the nurses' residence
You
is still
shouldn't.
standing because it's a
Yeah.
protected building. So
that's the thing. The people that do go in there are fucking nuts. Like
I knew a guy. Actually, you guys know him as well, but I won't say who it
Yeah.
is.
Good idea.
He was a volunteer firefighter, or is.
yeah,
You know who I'm talking about, right?
yeah.
I think
Okay, cool.
so.
It's no one that the audience would know. Like, it's just someone that we all know personally. But he's a volunteer firefighter, and they got a call out. This would have been over like 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
They got a call out to the hospital because it's not an active hospital. It was replaced decades ago by the current hospital. So it's like a heritage
Wasn't it
site.
supposed to be turned into like office buildings or something? But they just kind of went nah.
Maybe there was also the
It's
guys.
a pretty shitty spot. Like it's on
Yeah.
a really steep hill.
Yeah, and the guys from Spookers were like
Looking-
in negotiations several times to try and buy it, but
was pretty
they
run
never
down.
wanted to hand it over.
Yeah.
It would have been a cool site though.
Mm.
Yeah, most of it's been.
If you don't know, Spookers is a haunted maze sort of attraction thing, haunted house.
Yeah, they do haunted houses, corn mazes,
Yeah.
all
It
that
would
kind
be
of
a
thing.
great location.
It would, yeah.
It really would.
Yeah, yeah. Most of it's been torn down now.
They also were
the-
going to turn it into a paintball arena.
Oh, possibly. That would have
That,
been cool.
that was also
I
a thing.
didn't
Well,
know
like
Yeah.
airsoft.
Yeah,
Turn it into an
that'd have been
airsoft
great. Local airsoft field, hell yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, most of it's been torn down now, but the nurses' residence is still standing. It's like this
Mm.
big old 3-story Victorian-style building, creepy as hell. But that is an actual like protected
You were
building.
saying you got called.
Yeah. So he got a call. His firehouse
Yeah.
got a call out because somebody reportedly set a fire on the grounds. I don't know if they actually did or not.
Yeah.
But
Surprised.
once they got there, and whatever it was dealt with, there's actually a series of tunnels underneath the site,
Yeah.
and they had to go down there with a thermal camera to make sure that there were no like there was no more fire, and fuck that. Hard fuck that.
You're going down there with a thermal
Terrifying.
camera to make sure there's no fire, and you just see a person like show up on the camera, and you're like,
Heat
Yeah,
signature, and in
pretty
person
much-
Shape, you're like, ooh.
yeah,
Pretty much everyone who has spent like a considerable amount of time on the site, like more than a few hours, like believes that it is haunted.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, when you
fair.
think
I,
about,
d-
like,
I don't even like driving past it at
yeah,
night.
if you do believe
ick.
in
Ugh.
ghosts, right? The most haunted places would be hospitals.
Oh, yeah.
Bro,
Because, like,
even just
Oh,
being,
yeah.
just even being in that car park below it, because it sits on that like kind of very steep
Yeah,
hill. It's like
Ne-
almost
next
a cliff.
to the old ambulance shed.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's almost a cliff, and then there's just the building, the three-story
The old nurse's
like,
residence. Yeah,
Oh no.
it's
You're
not.
like,
It's
oh.
not great.
Yeah. It's,
And like
it's not cool.
some of the windows are boarded up, but some
Yeah.
aren't, and it's like
that's the thing. If I did go
Ugh.
urban exploring, it would be at like 12 p.m., like as in like midday, like middle of the
Yeah.
day,
Yeah.
brightest time. Like
even
there's-
then,
Definitely.
you'd be like, ooh, like
Yeah,
in the
and I
darker
would-
corners.
and I would go in a group. There's
Oh,
no
yeah.
way you
Oh,
can
yeah.
catch me going, because I'd love to do like photography and things like that. Because my favorite aesthetic is like buildings that have been overgrown and things like that. Like
Mm.
I love photos of like old malls and like vines are just like around escalators. And
yeah,
things like that. It's
urban
really
decay.
cool, but like at the same time, you could not catch me dead in that place by myself. Because
Yeah.
the people who do go in there are mental. Like even
Little bit.
when you see like the spray paint and things like that,
Mm.
like I'd like to be like, oh yeah, that was just like a group of teens or whatever. But then you see like Satan circles and all sorts of
Oh, God,
weird
yeah.
sort of
Oh yeah, that's teens too.
yeah. But like
Yeah.
I don't know,
Satan's chill.
It's
no.
still not great.
Yeah, it's not
no,
great.
I don't watch a lot. I don't watch a lot of ghost hunting shows, but
Yeah.
there's one show called Haunter. Are you guys familiar with Achievement Hunter?
I've watched it.
Okay,
It's-
yes.
No, but
They're
They
a
do a very good job.
They are a gaming comedy group from the States.
Yeah.
And like, one of their projects that they have done is they had 2 seasons of a ghost hunting show. It was like 8 episodes. So they've done 16 episodes of this show. It's like proper, like 25, 30-minute episodes. And yeah, it's just them going into these places looking for ghosts.
Honestly,
And,
it's
like-
more compelling than any other ghost show I've watched.
Because they're not like actually invested in finding the ghosts.
Yeah.
You know, like they're not gonna fake anything or pretend that they found something they didn't. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like
like at the
It's-
end of the day, if they explore a pretty building, that's cool.
yeah,
Which
and
was actually like a fair few of the episodes. Like nothing really came up.
yeah, like
Yeah.
some
It's like, yeah.
some freaky stuff happened, but they never got anything conclusive. But that wasn't it. Like the point of the show was that it was these guys, these
Yeah.
personalities that you know, going into these situations which are like just ripe for comedy.
And then
really.
there was the sawmill episode.
Yeah.
Woo, that was spooky.
Yeah. I'm not gonna spoil it. That's
can
that's
tell me
that's
off-
that's my recommendation for this week. Audience is go watch Haunter on achievementhunter.com or roosterteeth.com. I think it is.
Like,
Um,
Achievement Hunter.
oh, Achievement
Rooster Teeth first or whatever.
achievementhunter.com will also redirect you to the right page. Yeah, the show is called Haunter. It used to be called Achievement Haunter, but they didn't like that name, so they changed it. Yeah, I think you can find the first couple episodes on YouTube too. So yeah,
it's not bad, I think.
great show. Go watch it. It's fantastic. I think you might need to be a first member,
You
their
do the
sponsor.
watch the
But
rest.
you
I
can
think
get a-
can
you can
watch
get
the
a-
first or second.
Yeah, you can get a free month trial and then cancel it after that if you want. Just watch Haunter. It's great, and they have other great shows on there as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's my
Nice.
rec.
I would
That's my rec
I
for the
would
week.
definitely recommend it actually as well.
Haunter.
Very nice.
And
Hilarious.
they've been all over. Like most of their episodes were in the States, but they did one in Australia and a couple in England, I think. So
yeah.
they've been around.
Yeah.
They've been around.
Yeah.
Not anymore, but
No.
Yeah, that sawmill
COVID.
episode though. Ooh.
Oh yeah.
you can tell me about it after.
Hell yeah.
It's like one of the last ones in the season, I think.
I
Or
think so.
near the end, at least.
Yeah.
The hiccups.
All right. So
I thoroughly enjoyed this episode.
yeah,
It's
it was
been
good.
a-
Like, not gonna lie, when you were
Roller
first
coaster
telling me
ride.
about like how much research you had to do, I was like, oh my god.
I
But like,
really summed that up. Like,
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, you
but I
did.
think you did it
Like-
like you cut out all the irrelevant information. Like you covered it enough that it still made sense, and
Mm.
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it was still like quite enjoyable. Well done.
Like
Nice.
I could have gone on for. Like, I could have drawn out the third Crusade section for, like, 2 or 3 times as long as it actually was. So, yeah,
Yeah.
that was a very condensed
But
version of
I
it.
quite
Oh
like
my
you
God.
just died.
We didn't even cover the Templars.
I think, yeah, honestly, they were a pretty neat group, and like the other
Yeah.
groups as well.
And they were present for pretty much all of it,
Yeah,
if you look
they-
at the
they were in a
timeline.
lot. They're pretty much like the main symbolic crusading
Yeah.
faction, I guess you would call it. So yeah, they was vibing.
Yeah, they were basically just, like, highly trained soldiers who were also like super dedicated to the church.
And they had
Yeah.
that symbolic
The
design.
it's the red cross on the white tabard. Yeah, it's
Do you know,
iconic.
Do you know this?
That's just reminded me of the Knights of the Blood Oath.
I mean,
It's, what are they
that is
called?
A homage to.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
If I show
There you
you a
go.
Crusader outfit, you'll see why it is.
Yeah, their proper name was the Poor Fellow Soldiers of Christ and of the Temple of Solomon.
The poor fellow soldiers.
Yeah.
Damn right. When you had to do 9 crusades, it all failed.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Also known as the Order of Solomon's Temple
I've
or the
definitely
Knights
seen that
Templar.
before.
You definitely have.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is
Memes
iconic.
everywhere.
It's like
Yeah.
it's pretty much synonymous with the Crusades at this point.
Yeah, honestly.
That symbol.
Nice.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Cool.
That was the crusades.
All right.
Your week next
That was
week.
fun.
Um,
Yeah, it is.
Dun.
I have a topic. I haven't done any research, but I think it's going to be a good one.
You
It's
have,
I
like
would
a
hope so.
hint.
I mean, it's
what it is?
it's kind of related to something that we've done previously. It might have been our lost episode, but I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
It's like tangentially related.
Okay.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay, outro us, boy.
Yeah.
So you can find like half our episodes on Spotify. 'cause I need to get rid of
Yeah.
obviously, like episode 25 onwards is like the best quality. I would say.
Yeah.
You can find us on Twitter at ZeroFunction Pod. Is it?
Yes.
And Instagram at ZeroFunction Pod.
Yes.
Um.
We're working on the Instagram. Please, I beg. There is nothing on there at the moment. I know it's my job, but I tried downloading some of our episodes to edit and turn into clips, and it literally almost killed my computer. So
I have been derelict in my Twitter duties. I will confess.
I've
Yes.
been derelict for the last 2 weeks and doing the Spotify uploads because I got
Nice.
lazy.
once I get an external hard drive, so I don't have to download the episodes, we'll be good. It'll
Nice.
be easy for me to make clips and things like that. So we're getting there.
Yeah, so you can find us in those places.
And all
Yeah,
of
you
our
can.
other details are in the description below.
Yeah.
Ah!
All right.
Subscribe. Thank you. Goodbye.
Yeah.
I don't even know anymore.